Greetings, YouTube. I have been tagged by the fabulous Orla-Jo of Ireland in the Bookmark Tag, which is all about bookmarks, figuratively and literally. So here are the questions. There are 9. Question 1, what are you currently using as a bookmark? Now, this is the bookmark I use on a regular basis every day when I go to work. This is the bookmark that sits in all of the books I read at work. It is a art. It was made by some craftsman, some swirly ink paint design. It was given a gift from some friends, and I've had it for a very long time, 15, 16 years maybe, I'm not positive. It's lasted longer than their marriage. I also have this, which is Killer Bunnies, and this is a particular card, the Bunnies of the Caribbean, which I got in a gaming magazine, and this is the bookmark I most frequently use in role-playing books that I am reading. So the one I always stick in the books because it's from a card game. Okay, 2, best thing you ever used as a bookmark. That probably would have been a love letter a long time ago. That would probably be it. Weirdest thing, I believe I used a sock once. No, it was not because I was inspired by Harry Potter. It was long before Harry Potter was ever written. 4, do you ever annotate, highlight, write in books? Why or why not? No, I do not. When I was very young, I actually annotated a couple of my early gaming books, but I quickly stopped doing that. I realized I did not want to annotate the books because I felt that it was desecrating books, and I still feel that today. I do not annotate books. I do not write in books. I do not highlight in books. It's just not my thing. If I feel a real need, I might write it on a piece of paper and then stick that piece of paper inside a book, or write a note down elsewhere and keep it around with reference to that book. It happens very rarely. Most of the time, I just never do anything like that to a book. Share something you found written in a library book, used book that didn't belong to you. Okay, now this is a copy of The Power of Myth by Bill Moyers. It is a large 8.5 by 11 style, and it is the most heavily annotated book I have ever seen in my entire life. I mean, not just, there are entire notes left in this book. There are notes written in this book, and of course, all these colorful tabs that the person put in the book. I had to own this when I saw it. Even though I already have a copy, I saw this, I'm like, someone put a lot of work into this. I need to preserve this book, and someday maybe figure out why they marked the pages that they did in fact mark. 6, what books are in your collection by someone named Mark? Now, Orla-Jo cheated in the fact that she used 3 books from the same author, but it was a pseudonym, Mark Twain, while his name is actually Samuel Clemens. My wife chimes in from the background. Hey, stop that. As my cat tries to chew on the tags on the book I put on the floor. So I'm going to do a similar thing. I'm also going to cheat. And this is going to be from the book Salt by Mark Kurlansky, and the book Cod, also by Mark Kurlansky. Falls into my love of books that have a very tight focus, both of which, by the way, are excellent books, highly recommended, particularly if you love salt or cod. What book has made the biggest mark on your life figuratively? So the book that's had the biggest impact on me from its content. And this is a hard one. Salut! My wife just sneezed. I'm going to say the book Deep Survival, whose author I don't remember, because it was a book that introduced the concept to me that there are things going on in here, not in your mind, but in your brain, that you don't have control of. That there are things that you are programmed to do because you are a biological organism. And those biological drives can affect your mind and your behavior. And that once you understand this, and once you begin to notice when these things are happening, you can control them finally. You can avoid them. You can short-circuit them. You do not have to be a slave to those biological drives that, in the case of the book Deep Survival, get people killed because they push people into directions that are counterintuitive to survival. So that was a major impact on me. Another book would have probably be The Hero of a Thousand Faces and The Power of Myth. Those are also books that have big impact on me. And on an unrelated note, but also a major impact on me, we have the original Player's Handbook by Gary Gygax. Compiled information for players and dungeon masters from TSR Games. P.O. Box 756, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, 53147. Which is a book that has had a major impact on my life because it began a lifelong love of role-playing games. And so I have to count that in that list. Okay. What mark has made the biggest life mark on you? Literally, as in, do you have any kind of body art or modifications that are book-themed? And if you don't, would you ever acquire book-themed body modifications? And I have to say no. I have not completely discounted the concept of getting tattoos, but they would probably be religiously based or symbolically based for me. They would not be literally a literature-based book concept. That's just not my thing. While books are very important to me, huge collection behind me, and I've got 23 bookshelves in my house. Almost all of them are completely full. I'm just not likely to modify my body in that manner. And 9, which book has had the biggest impact on your generation in your opinion? Now that's a hard one, because technically I'm a member of the baby boomers. I was born in '64, so technically that makes me a baby boomer. I do not, however, identify as a baby boomer. I think of myself as being of a younger generation. I see the baby boomers as being people who are 15 or 20 years older than I am. And I'm going to refer back to one of the book that had one of the figurative impact on me, and that would be The Hero with a Thousand Faces. I think that book cannot be downplayed in its importance to the 20th century. That book summed up some powerful concepts and presented them in a way that no one ever really had, in my opinion. Admittedly, my limited scope, I have not read everything that could have helped Campbell write that book. I'm never likely to read everything that helped lead him to that book. But I think that book had a major impact on the people of the 20th century, and it will continue to have an impact forever. It's a very powerful book. It's a very important book, as is his Power of Myth. So I think that would be my call for which would be the one that had the biggest impact on my quote-unquote generation. Not really positive which generation I fall into. I definitely don't think of myself as the me generation. I fall somewhere in between. While I have certain fondness for the 80s, I do not consider myself a child of the 80s, nor am I a child of the 90s. I'm not really sure what I am. But that book, to me, is an important work, and I think it fits my definition of that. So, I hope that this satisfies Orla-Jo, and I am not going to tag any specific people in this particular video. However, anyone who has seen this and would like to give their answers below or send me in a video tag, video response, I would greatly appreciate it. I always enjoy video responses. Legitimate video responses. I frequently get ones which have no relationship whatsoever to the video I have posted. They just send them in hopes that someone will watch one of their videos, which I think is kind of lame. But tell me, what are the books you love? How have they marked your life? What are the bookmarks that have made their way across your soul?